guys. Great conversation. So let's go ahead and move on to Snapped Out. Okay, so
Right.
this article is actually from AP News. It is entitled Supreme Court Issues Emergency Order to Block Full SNAP aid food aid payments. And guys, I just want to let you know that in the show notes below, the all the articles that we're actually talking about, and then some are going to be there. So if you want to read them on your own, especially since we have a tendency to be on tangents, it's a good idea for you to do that. Okay, so let's give you the synopsis of this one. So last week, the food safety net in America got a direct threat. The federal government is shut down, as we know, and the Trump administration announced it could no longer guarantee November SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans who rely on them. That's what 1 in every 8 people. Then two federal judges stepped in and ordered the administration to keep the payments flowing, tapping into emergency contingency funds. But how much, when, and whom remains chaotic. So here's some of the takeaways from this particular article. So SNAP isn't just another program. It keeps millions of low income families, children, seniors, and disabled people from going hungry. Another thing is because the program's funding depends on congressional appropriations, a budget stalemate in Washington now means real hunger on the ground. Next is some states are scrambling to fill the gaps, but they can't instantly replace a national program. The burden is shifting onto food banks already stretched thin. And then, from our point of view, this is a systemic failure, not a glitch, but a very visible example on how marginalized communities bear the cost of
Mhm.
political logjams, disabled vital institutions. Okay, so AJ, I'm coming to you first.
Yeah, because so Trump was ordered to use the contingency fund, right? And at
Mm-hmm.
first he was like, "Oh, great, that's exactly what I wanted." And then he was like, "Well, never mind. I'm gonna block it. We're not gonna do that." Then the judges were like, "You have to." And he was like, "Okay, but we're only gonna pay half of it or some of it." And the judges were like, "Nope, you have to pay the full thing." And so the order went through and they started the payments. And some of the states were like right away, like, let's do this. But today, right before we came on the show, they're blocking it again. There's
Jesus.
another judge that
Fucking
blocked it again.
scum.
And
Scum,
they're
man.
like,
These are
nope,
fucking
all the
scum.
states, yeah, they're like, all the states, they have to take back the payments that they made. They have to like roll back everything that they made, any progress that they made. And I'm like, they're doing this on purpose. They're trying to starve people. Now my thinking is like, do they do they just want to continue blaming the Democrats? And so in order to do that, they need people to actually starve and be like,
Yes.
well, it's the Democrats' fault. Because if they're giving them contingency funds, people are gonna forget. They're gonna be like, well, we are getting paid, so we're good. But if
But
you're
you're
struggling and suffering, then yeah.
this is fascism. This is how fascism stokes the flame right now. So what you're going to see now is civil unrest. You're going to start seeing people stealing more food. You have to understand that like unemployment benefits too are the Texas state hotline says, well, unemployment's at an all-time low, and because of that, government has also put a halt on benefits. And there's no, this is a system. This is your food benefits. This is your unemployment benefits. Texas fucks contractors, independent contractors. Oh, dude, it's these guitars stay back here just in case I need to pawn them. I mean, it's just how it is, man.
Mm,
It's 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 one of those things. So there's a space on my wall right now. There's a reason for that. There's Texas discards its citizens. So yeah, of course the SNAP benefits are going. Of course they're going to push people to the point of doing something extreme, which means trying to survive. And then there's going to be, see, those are the leftists, those are the immigrants, those are the brown people, those are the black people, those are the queers, those are the trans people, they're all the ones stealing. But you know why? Because those are the people that have been systemically pushed down, and the other people who look like them or behave like them or have applied for their right to be like them, of course they're okay because they're playing the game. they're doing the thing. It's nepotism. It's who you know. It's all that shit. But it's so easy to other people because we live under the auspice that money equals morality, right? The whole Calvinism, Protestant work ethic blending type thing. Yeah. So of course it's easy to demonize your neighbor, and it's easy to demonize yourself. You don't forget that stigma is self-perpetuated. So yeah, this is all by design, and this is out of the fascist playbook. Because when somebody finally does say "fuck this," I'm stealing food for my family, and they happen to look like me or look like us or sound like us or have our, there you go. There it is. That's it. Look at
Yeah, I
how
mean,
violent they are.
taking
And
away SNAP benefits, taking
It's
away kids'
disgusting.
lunches, taking away funding from the education department. It's all part of their Project 2025.
It's
It's
disgusting.
how
yeah.
Yes,
it's
I
how
mean
it
it's
went.
in broad daylight. Sorry, I'm sorry. It pisses me off, man.
No, I no, it's important, and I get it, because like, no, it pisses me off too. I mean, it should piss everybody off. I mean, because like, Snap has been demonized since the 70s, like
Yeah.
since, like, literally, like the 70s and 80s, when you had, Republicans getting into office. They started to change the narrative concerning, food assistance programs. Food assistance programs actually started in the 1930s under Franklin Delano
Yep.
Roosevelt, part of the New Deal,
Hmm.
because at the particular time there was the stock market crash of 1929, and then you also had the Dust Bowl, and you had people that was like hanging out in these bread lines. People were starving. They were hungry. They needed assistance. So the New Deal was part of like the work assistance program, the food assistance program, and the people who were on those particular programs was mostly white, right? Now, you did not actually have Black people being able to take advantage of the food assistance program until 1965,
I was
after
about to
the
say I thought it was
signing.
close to the 70s. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
fucked.
yeah. Until 1965. After the signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964
Right around
became
the same
the
time the
law.
FHA shit was going on. Yeah. So yeah, there you
Exactly,
go. And Chicago was
exactly.
a big part of that. Yeah, no, I understand. I remember.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Operation Breadbasket, was one of the big things that, was being pushed, especially in Chicago,
Hmm.
at the behest of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yep.
You ain't met no Dr. Martin Luther King. Sorry, I had to do that. Anyway, so, and I remember watching, shout out to Kelly from Godless Granny, when I put into the chat that Black people could not actually take advantage of the SNAP program until after 1965, and she's like, I did not know that, and I said, yeah, it was because of systemic racism,
You
because
know that thing. You know.
yeah, yeah, and so
You had no
oh,
rights to anything.
nah,
No.
nah.
Why would you? God,
why
I'm
why would
crazy.
you?
Jesus.
And then remember the reframing of like SNAP benefits. Like what happened was, you got the welfare queen,
Oh yeah, that
Black
shit.
women
Uh-huh.
specifically are not
The crack
working.
hoe.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like they just want to like spend like, their welfare money on, drugs and getting and
Hair
having more
extensions. Yeah.
children, and
Yeah.
right, hair extensions.
Exactly. Right. That's where it goes. Right.
Yeah.
Wigs.
Right, all that hair extensions, so
Crazy.
like eyelashes, all that,
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, like, so it's like completely reframed to actually like perpetuate the stereotype and propaganda that Black people are taking advantage of welfare benefits in order for them to not work or whatever, instead of saying like, hey. And then they made like the application process and also the factors that you could get food assistance
Totally racist.
harder
Yep.
for people to get, right? And even at that time, and still at that time, it is white people per capita that take advantage of SNAP
Hmm.
benefits more than any other group of people.
Hmm.
Over 39 to 40%
Well, I was
in the
gonna say
United
it's
States.
numbers and percentages. People are like, well, it's just because there's more. No, but it's per person. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, to be honest, like, yes, if you were to want to get into the minutia of numbers, 26% of SNAP benefits are taken advantage of by Black people. But you also have to look at the historical references that actually go with that,
Hmm.
which is an entire group of people who were systemically locked out of wealth building in the United States.
Yeah, like
So
actually by proximity, like physically locked out. Like when
yeah,
you look at what happened with the syphilis shit in Alabama and all that, what they were doing in there, man, and what they do, they were purposely left in towns and
yeah,
locked out.
yeah, they
Crazy.
were. I mean, you have to think about redlining. You have to think about like
Uh-huh. All the FHA shit.
highways being
Yeah.
like, pushed through black neighborhoods,
White
like,
flight.
yeah, white flight. You think about disinvestment in certain
The
neighborhoods, like,
veterans
all
after the
the
black
veterans,
veterans after
yeah,
World War II.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. My dad being one of them,
Come on,
right?
dude.
So yeah, so it's a bunch of different things that you have to talk about. So like so when I look at this administration, especially when they are overtly fighting funding SNAP,
Of course.
it's more so like, oh well, we're going to, like, shove it to the black folk, right?
Of course
Because
they
they're
are.
overly represented on SNAP. But the thing is, it's like white folk is suffering just as much, including the people that voted for you,
Dude,
agent
of
or
course they
80
are.
agent or y'all help me out. Top.
Oh, dude, I'd like to hear AJ's thoughts on this because being a new citizen, this has to be sobering for you,
Uh,
Tell me about
especially
it.
in
it
Texas.
is, and it's so weird because we came here, thinking, oh, hey, that's like an improvement
Should have
from
kept going north,
where we
dude.
were. Like Canada was the goal, but
We're all
yeah,
go to
it
BC
didn't
at some point.
happen.
We'll go.
But
Canada, A.
so I look at it, right? Like I grew up having to, I don't know, go to the neighbor's house, and I'm sorry, we had like a neighbor's. They did events, like large
Yeah.
events, and so what they did was after the events at nighttime, they will take all the leftovers. And some of the neighbors will come, and the ones that didn't have food, and we will just grab a bag of whatever was left, like pastries, or sometimes it was
Hell yeah.
tomatoes,
Yeah.
or we will go to the farms, and my sisters and I had to like go through the boxes and boxes of rotten tomatoes trying to like pick one that may be okay to eat and wash and eat. So like I come here and I hear about all of this taking advantage of SNAP, and I'm like, how much can people be taking advantage of it, right? Even if they're slightly taking advantage of it, like, I don't know, eating steaks or buying
Oh no,
soda,
protein.
right? Or buying sodas or buying candy. And I'm like, how
Yeah,
how does
but
that
they
hurt
promote that
you?
to you the whole time. Like it's covered by SNAP benefits, so of course you're able to do it.
Yeah. And they're like, you're eating after all, right? Like, I don't know about you,
You
but like,
are eating.
and
Okay.
it's not the dogs and the cats. We're not eating the dogs or the cats.
Right. Ain't nobody eating goddamn dogs and cats. You know what I'm saying? They're actually going to the grocery store and like purchasing food that has been vetted by the USDA so that they can actually eat food that is nutritious so that they can, I don't know, live. Goddamn.
Well, yeah, I think the weird narrative of all them illegals is taking all them food benefits.
That part.
Well, if you don't have like you have to like give like a social security number. You have to like
Yeah, we
apply
couldn't.
via.
Yeah.
You have to do background. Like, how is somebody who's not legally allowed to be in the state taking advantage of a thing that is for citizen? It's
They're not.
I had a buddy of mine bring something up. He was bitching about it on internet, Facebook, of course, picking fights with all his friends, and it's like he goes, "You guys like vote in these like legit child CSA. I don't know what to say for YouTube, but like people who harm children and harmed their physical autonomy, and you vote these people in, and then like you say you want the Epstein files, but then like when you more or less figure out that Trump's going to be on, you're like, oh, we don't need it now." And he's like, y'all say that all these Democrats and all these queer people, this is what he was saying, all these Democrats and queer people and trans people and all these gay men are all trying to like, harm your children and rape them or whatever. But whenever it really happens, y'all are the ones voting them in. And I said, buddy, those people are representatives of Americans. So put those two together. They're going to vote in what best represents their behaviors and their lifestyles. So,
And they
yes,
did.
And then, and I said, and look up into this point this year already, the amount of men who have been caught, prosecuted, blah, 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 for all the things that I just mentioned involving children. And look at who they're affiliated with. Look at that preacher guy who was Trump's spiritual advisor. It made me literally shivers. Makes me sick thinking about it. Like
Mm-hmm.
these fucking bootlicking fucking cowards vote in these disgusting, immoral perverts because they are immoral, disgusting perverts, and then take somebody like myself, who's not a straight person, take people like us who advocate for this, and try to demonize y'all for being people of color, and for women. Of course, you're women, so your brains are only so good, right? Only so big.
Listen,
And
I'm going to tell you right now, I couldn't even figure out how to open a gas can the other day,
I'm
so it's all
sorry.
good.
Yeah, well, luckily, I'm sure you had like 4 men around you to coach you and explain what it was and tell you the
I
exact color and,
I
Christ,
one
man.
I one that came by was like, okay, this is how you open it. I'm like, thank you. I couldn't get gas in my goddamn car. I felt so inept. I was like, oh my God. But go ahead. I'll
It's,
listen.
yeah, I mean, you're not helping me here, Cynthia. You're really just not.
I know. Listen, I will put
Yeah.
my backside on Front Street any day and time. I am not perfect. I do not bat 1,000 every day. Just
Yeah,
want
but
to be
then when it comes to the
clear.
things that matter, it's like women always far exceed and do better and undervalue. And you're taught to undervalue yourself, and you're taught like a helplessness that's like learned helplessness or something. It's like it's terrible. It's conditioning. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's a big problem, and it's a systemic issue, and it's in plain sight now. And they can sit there and blame and talk all this shit about people, but they're the ones doing it. And it's like you said, it's like right in front of them.
Yeah.
It's all right here, and
Yeah.
it's crazy making, man.
It has to be to a point where, and I think that this is even, liking back to the first story, that people have to say enough, right? Because if we really look at all these particular systemic problems that we are facing as, American citizens, as the electorate, even as people who happen to be resident here, it has to take a critical mass of folk to say enough is enough, right?
How do you get that
Because,
going? How do
well,
you get this shared narrative?
you know what? I mean, I think about it. You know what? And this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it right now, that maybe, just maybe, Trump is the president that we needed for this time. Now, why do I say that? Because I know that's what you're thinking. Because I feel it coming from you effervescently. I see the waves like, "No, no, 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 no. What
That
are
is
you saying to
unpopular.
me?"
Yeah.
Right. That's right. And the reason being is because sometimes you need a bad guy. Sometimes you need a symbol to actually, galvanize the masses to say that, wait a minute, just wait a minute. Like, is this really the country that we want? Is this the really way that we want to be ruled? Is this really the way that even the framers, even though they were
Mhm.
mostly slaveholders, were intending the United States to be? And I mean, like, we have seen recently over this year mass protests that we have not seen since the civil rights movement. We haven't.
Yeah.
Even though that you had, like, Black Lives Matters protests that happened, after Trayvon Martin was killed, and then, a series of other Black people were killed by police and vigilantes, nothing like now. Remember, the day after, when 47, then 45, was sworn into office, the largest women's protest happened all across the country,
Yeah.
right? And now we have organizers that are taking to the streets screaming, and this is not the way it's supposed to be. Even in my city right now, you have people physically and verbally assaulting ICE agents.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and all of these policies, even though, like, I don't necessarily think I don't believe that it's just Trump, right? Because you got like the Grim Reaper Stephen Miller up there talking
That guy's terrible.
crazy. You got Pam Bondi saying crazy shit.
Mhm.
Cash Patel saying crazy shit. So it's not just him, but I know that a lot of them are brown nosing in order for them to be able to be in good with him, right?
Of course.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like this push and pull thing. It's like now the weight has been pushed against you, so you either do, you have to kick in our base level survival instincts as human beings. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? What are you going to do? And so history teaches us that the only thing that makes change is the people from the ground level up fight.
Of course. I agree. The problem is people freeze or
Yes.
fawn. They
Or
freeze
they
and fawn.
fawn. Right. And we have all that going on right now.
Yeah.
But
A lot of fawning.
a lot of fawning, right? But even if you look at the polling numbers though, like dude is at the historical low right now.
Yeah.
Like lower than any president ever.
Yeah, but what
Ever.
but what that does is it scares me that we're so like even people who are like I'm leftist, like think about the people that we know kind of in this circle and in this sphere with activism and humanism and atheism and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Like think about all the people that we know right now in the past couple years that are just like have turned out to be just as misogynistic, who still
Yes.
pretend like they're a preacher and
Yes.
it's and
No names called.
act morally superior. They're
Yeah.
like, well, because I'm a humanist, I'm now morally superior to you.
What that
Are
mean?
you? Or I am an atheist and I'm morally superior. What does that even mean? I
Right.
don't even know what that means, So you're still getting the same sexist, misogynistic,
Mhm.
bloviating, narcissistic behavior
Right.
sans a god, but it's still cults of personality. It's still hierarchical. It's still I'm better than you and I can treat you a certain way, and it's privileged. I mean, if you look within our kind of sphere right now and
Mhm.
you see different shows and different things and different people and the people who are being elevated, the demographic is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And I say this as a guy who fits that demographic,
Yeah,
sadly,
you don't need to
by
say it.
optics.
We know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and I feel it's like that's like, and y'all know with the nonprofit stuff we're doing, like I'm just an organizer. I'm not even a member of the board. Like it's so important to me with the nonprofit that we're all building and I'm building and that I'm organizing and everyone's helping with that the people who make the decisions and are like the face of things and that I'm not that because I can do that. I have the privilege of walking into a place being perceived as like a put together straight guy. I can whatever. Or,
Right.
but the thing is, like, in recognizing that privilege, I now have to elevate others, right? Because what good am I doing, right? I don't know. I think that's one thing we're really lacking right now is like representation that actually represents like we there needs to be a bigger push and mobilization of people of color, of people who are immigrant status, people who queer people who are in marginalized groups to be the figureheads of the Democrats or let's get a moral Republican in there, a progressive Christian, right? I don't care, as
Yeah.
long as they're like aligning with humanistic values and like things like taking care of your citizens. I will take a progressive Christian Republican candidate any day who aligns with me over some virtue signaling,
G G G G G
imperialistic
G
liberal
G G
Democrat.
G G J J J. Let's that Republican moralists right now that don't even exist
I
right
don't
now.
see
But
too many Democrats
nah, I
that are
mean, I'm not saying
yeah.
that's a thing either. But like but let's just keep it a buck. Like
No, I'm
especially
just
when it comes
look,
to the
I'm just saying
arms.
is that if somebody comes in and says, okay, I identify as this, but their
Mm,
policies, how they live, what they
yeah,
represent, what they're
yeah,
pushing for aligns with morality and
sure.
humanism and
You can be
harm
for it.
reduction and pluralism and actual religious freedom, which includes every human being,
Right. Actual
free
separation of church and state.
actual, then
Yeah.
they'll have my vote. I don't care what they label themselves as. There
Right.
has to be some concessions made, and so at some point, to
Yeah.
where, like, I don't know, like, I don't think meeting in the middle. There's no in the middle of women's rights and not women's rights, and right to pregnancy and not right to, there's no middle ground for that.
But
But for me, a middle ground would be, okay, you're religious, cool, but
how
what
we
are
go
our
from
values?
there.
You
Yeah.
know, what are our values? Once we get everything where it needs to be, we can argue about that.
Right.
But
AJ.
until then, I kind of need an enemy of my enemy as my friend
I
at
feel
this
you.
moment. I think we,
Yeah,
Yeah. Chime
like
in, AJ.
here in Texas, we have James Tallarico, and he was fighting hard against the school vouchers. He was fighting against the Christian curriculum that they were trying to push. He was fighting against redistricting.
yeah,
Like and he's a Christian. He's
yeah,
a
Yeah.
Christian, but
He's a pastor.
yeah, he's
Mhm.
studying to be yeah, but like he's secular. He doesn't want religion in in public
Often
spaces.
pop. Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of, like, if we are gonna have religious leaders, that's the kind of I'm sorry, leaders who practice a specific religion. Then they can practice it at home. But we saw what happened with in New York, right, with Mom Danny. People were like freaking out because they see that his father was a Muslim. He was an
uh-huh.
agnostic Muslim, not even a practicing, like he didn't even practice like hardcore Islam or anything. And his mother was Hindu, right? Like, okay. And then immediately people are like, "Oh my God, he's going to implement Sharia law because he's a Muslim." It's like the guy's like he doesn't even identify as like an open, Muslim, cultural Muslim, maybe cultural. That's about it.
Cool.
Hmm.
He
Label
doesn't
more
practice.
labels.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, label.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, like why do people push so much? Well, the Christian nationalists mostly, for their freedom of religion and not being persecuted, but they're doing that thing to all the other religions. It's like, fuck
Well, it's an
Yeah.
off.
exceptionalism thing. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that's what it is. It's the reason I bring that up is like what I brought up earlier to kind of bounce off what AJ's saying is that we were talking about representatives and the people. Like, I hate to say it, but man, Americans are pretty fucking stupid, man. And that's my
Yeah.
opinion. I hold that opinion. I don't know if there's anybody else's,
That's
but
mine too.
they're also very cattle-like, very sheep-like.
Hmm.
They follow and, oh, that's like me, you know. So if you get somebody, I have my own personal gripes against James Tellerico. Very personal gripes. I don't like that person at all as a human. I have very personal reasons we can talk about afterwards.
Good.
Um, really, I'm being dead serious.
I
Oh
feel
yeah, it
you.
could be something that I'm not aware of,
Oh,
so
he's
I'm good with
no bueno.
learning. Okay.
But that said, somebody like that who isn't a bad person, somebody like that, people can see that and be like, yes, yes, I Jesus loves everybody. I can accept them. Jesus, and because people are such followers, yes, I think I don't know if we can go from Trump to leftist atheist black lesbian president. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. That's what I want. But I don't know if we can do that. I think
Hmm.
people need baby steps. So if on our way to leftist black lesbian amazing president, we could get the progressive Christian guy. Then we could get the universalist female. And then we, you know what I'm saying? Then we can, I don't know, because that might be a culture shock. That's too much for these little pea brain people to like
I
take
think
in.
I think it's going to take. I mean, like, I think that the problem in America specifically is that we're very married to labels,
Of course. Yeah.
and I think that one of the things that gets lost in that, because, like, we are a culture of people who have who have been like raised on identity. Identity politics is very much so in the fray when it comes to American politics, right? And and I think that it's going to take a time where we are more so apt to say, hey, let's focus more on policy, no matter who it comes from, that's going to be good for the, the
Hmm.
majority,
Yep.
than actually saying, oh, well, what about this one? I mean, because like, here's the thing. We had a black lesbian mayor. She wasn't all that great.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm. Yeah, and it's a
you know,
shame.
I mean, like, so like, so oftentimes when it comes to, if the person may have like all these things that are genuine, like generally labeled as like a leftist progressive, identity, does
Yeah,
not necessarily mean that they are going to lean on leftist progressive policy.
I fully agree. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get like the people who are just so easily swayed by the media that they're fed.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll start mimicking that or the archetype of that or the I don't know. Like I'm just so lost right now. I'm so fatalistic when it comes to everything at this point that I'll try anything at this point.
Well,
I
not
don't know. You
well.
know.
Let's not try anything. Let's.
No, I mean, yeah, not anything. Shit, man. I don't
I'm
know,
not.
man.
I'm not sure the lesbians will agree with me.
No,
They never
hold
do.
on,
They never
hold
do.
on, hold on. AJ, I want to give you the last word before we move on to our next segment, and then we're going to go ahead and close on out.
To be honest, right here, I forgot. Oh, snap.
Snap.
Yeah, snap. I was like, hey, we went down so many tangents that
All right,
I'm
it's
not
Yeah,
probably
really
all
we,
my
know what
fault.
topic
yeah.
we're
I
on.
should rename the show from the Roots Matter to Rabbit Holes. So.
That's my fault, I'm sure.
Yes,
I don't
I
know,
like that.
but we coming back. We're coming back. All right, but go ahead, honey. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just hope that they stop playing games soon because people are actually starving. People are hungry. And I don't think the snap is something to be ashamed of needing,
Yeah.
right? Like even if you are middle class now is no longer middle class. The people I used to be considered middle class, I used to consider myself middle class,
No
but
way.
now we are like selling my last month's supplies so that I can pay for next month's like medical supplies, talking about
It's
right, like
crazy
my
that way,
diabetic
huh?
stuff.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's where we are at, and I'm like, that's no longer middle class. Like we're no longer comfortable, and we do use snap, so like, okay, we need a little extra to be able to eat, and we are not out there eating caviar or something, right? Like you just buy one
Shit, if
one
you were,
That's what I'm saying. What does it
if
matter?
you
Like, I think
were,
it's sad that you
right?
even
What
have
is
to
it?
like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I hate that, like, people will have to like qualify like the
Yeah,
things that
justified
we.
not being hungry
Yeah,
and
just because like what they get on. I mean, like shit. Like if you like caviar, you on Snap. What the
fucking
fuck?
fish
Like,
eggs, man. Some fucking fish
yeah,
eggs.
that's exactly what it is. Like, please stop. But before you go on, I just wanted to just like let everybody know that one of the reasons why we are at a stay right now concerning Snap is that in an order issued after 9 p.m. on Friday, Ketanji Jackson Brown granted the Trump administration request for relief from the lower court that ordered them to require officials to tap into the separate nutrition accounts at the USDA to deliver the usual SNAP payments for November. And the reason being is because there is a court of appeals that's kind of arguing over, how to disseminate or the whole thing concerning SNAP right now. So the Supreme Court said, specifically for her, because that's her district, that you can wait for this so the lower appeals court can make a decision and we can go from there. So yeah.
I'm sure they
Yeah.
ate breakfast and lunch while they were going over all that
Whole
stuff.
Oh yeah.
whole
Yeah.
fucking time.
I'm
So
pretty sure
yeah.
that they had breakfast and lunch and the dinner waiting for them at home, or they probably went
Yeah.
out to eat afterwards
Yeah.
while they're talking about other people's privilege
Yeah,
to eat.
what they're able to eat because they're too concerned about it. They're going to actually eat caviar. Fuck out of here. But yeah, go ahead, AJ, and we can go ahead and go on.
Oh yeah, that was kind of my thought. Like feed people. People are just trying to not be hungry. They're not out there. Like even if there was a small amount of people that may be taking some level of advantage of it, it doesn't erase all of the people that are going hungry, like the children, the seniors, the disabled people. Like feed them anyway.
Yeah, feed them. Feed the people. God damn it. Shit.
Doesn't
Okay.
make any sense to me.
No, and it won't. It won't because like it's too much like right to actually do the right thing.